Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to be making this crazy thing today, as you can see in my viewport. If you want the project file, it's on my Patreon. Feel free to get that. Also, too, if you like this kind of crazy project and want to see more of them, please subscribe. I try to do weekly videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Let's get right into it. It's going to be both the simulation zone as well as the materials. So we're in the blank scene in Blender. We're clicking on the main cube, going to Geometry Nodes, New System. Cut that bad boy. Do a simulation zone. And then what we're going to want to do is just take a cube or something and then just reference it and have it extrude out down. And maybe to make it really easy, we can use a reference shape to make it even easier. Let's do that. I'm just going to fast forward this. This is me just doing a quick Subdiv modeling to make a cool shaped instance for the geometry nodes. So right here, I just did some like Subdiv modeling to make a cool shape, and I just did some modifier stacks to make it happen. You can do whatever you want. It's really quite straightforward. So we're going back to the cube, which is our geometry node modifier, going in here, and we're going to pull in this reference shape. So let's pick this reference shape. Nice. So now we pulled in the reference shape into the simulation zone. We're plugging it in here, and then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to instance it and move it down along each time and scale it a certain amount. So let's just do that. So we do join geometry. And then some of it will come in again with the transform geometry, I think, like this. And it's like minus. And then if we did math or a value, like put that here. Okay. No, it should be like so. Yep. And then one, no, it's here. And then like so. Yes. Boom. It makes a kind of trippy design pretty quick in just a few frames. So that's kind of working right now as we have the geometry coming in. We have that shape. It's going through. One of it is being translated down, and then the rest is going to be scaled. So we're kind of getting that happening. But we want to make sure that our camera can stay in the same spot, and then it's kind of falling down. So then what we want is all of it, I think, to move down again. So let me think about this really quick. Nice. So what we can have is we have this kind of like effect where it's kind of zooming through. We have a small degree change, like 5 degrees on the z-axis, and its scaling is going down and making this big kind of like spiral effect. But what we can do is instead of having it just be there, what we can do is we can then take this as the normal kind of what's being instanced, but then move it on down in a different simulation node group, because this is why, like, this is kind of capturing at one spot, but we want to have it being moving down and kind of capturing that distance. So we're going to delete that. So now if we watch this, it will just stay, I guess we don't want this, the translation to happen. So we just have this, and it's just staying in place, scaling out. Perfect. And then we can have a new simulation node group capturing this here, and then here is where we join it, right? So we're going to join it here with this, and then we're gonna transform like what was it, like -1 or something, -0.8. And now let's see, there we go. Now we're getting this scaling thing, and the scaling factor probably should go with the overall view. How does this look if I have the camera sets? So if we take the overall size of this, if we do a bounding box and we take this geometry, we have a bounding box right here, right? So as it moves through, it gets bigger and bigger. We now know a min and a max. So the max would be the amount of z. I think it's actually, the max is, I think it's actually the hypotenuse, right? So it's going like a hypotenuse. So if we have this hypotenuse, x, y, z, I think if we just do this and we do math and we do the min minus the max, math, subtract, this is the max minus the min, which makes sense because if the max is 10 and the min is 3, we want 7. Perfect. Okay. And then combine, plug this in here. Let's see what happens. Okay. There we go. Now it's working perfectly. Nice, nice, nice. The bounding box working. We're subtracting the max from the min. We're getting this kind of overall transform to have it work perfectly. Actually, let's have the scale happen here as well. So that way it will be just the rotation. See how that looks. There we go, much better. There we go. I think we got it. And then after a certain amount of points, it's too far out to see for the render. So it is basically done. It's looking good. Nice. Great. So we have this going. And just because I'm lazy and I want to make sure it's going to like work correctly, let's just have an age value to make sure we only have a certain number of points. Because capture attribute, or it's going to be a store named attributes, plug it into here, and we're going to do a, let's call this age. We're going to plug it in here, and we're going to do a math one named attribute age. Cool. Boom. Then we're going to do a delete geometry, named attribute greater than, let's just say 60. Nice. And now it will delete after 60 frames. Should be done by here. It's just going through. Fantastic. Okay, so we have the general geometry node system done. So let's do the material really quick. So we have this age value to be helpful, and we're gonna do a material, set material, boom, do it here. And, but really quick before we go into the materials, let's just talk about the simulation node again to make sure it all makes sense. We have our fun shape we made coming in. It's going into simulation zone. The first simulation is super easy. All we're doing is just doing a really simple rotation of 5 degrees along the Z every frame. So all it's doing is staying in place right here, and it's just spinning. And then from there, we're capturing that with a new simulation zone. So each frame, we're then going to capture this. And then as we're capturing it, we're basically scaling it and rotating it. No, all we're doing is we're scaling it and translating it. That way we're having this nice kind of spiral design happen. We are offsetting the position based off of a bounding box, so we can have this be whatever kind of size we want, and it will dynamically update, which is nice. So we're doing the max between the Z values of the min and the max, because I'm pretty sure it's a hypotenuse. So that means it gives us essentially the X, Y, and Z values of all those different things. So it makes it really easy to calculate the max of the Y or the Z or whatever. We're inverting it to make sure it's subtracting down, and then it's coming down through the translation, which is fantastic. We're joining it together with the previous one, so we kind of have that like offset animation. We're also having an age value right here to up to 60 frames, so we have that kind of going. So every 60 frames it will delete. Now what we also know is we're rotating by 5 degrees, right? So 5 times 60 is 300. Therefore, we need to do 60 into 5, which is 12, right? 12 more. So we need to have 72 frames, I think, for a full loop. Let's just watch how this is going. Yep. And so I'm going to add that really quick, 60 FPS. Let's just do 73. Actually, let's start at 0. And then let's just bake this. Animation, bake. It's taking a while to bake. Oh, I should bake it after the deletion, actually. There we go. It's much faster. Now it's deleting all the geometry afterwards, which is good. Okay, so then we know from, let's say 72 to 72 times 2, this should be a perfect loop. And it's looking pretty good, but it's moving a bit quick. So what we can do is we can lower the overall degree turn. So let's make it like 2 degrees. And then that means it's going to be more frames. So then let's do, I guess it's 180 then. So then let's delete this, 0 to 180 after 60. So that means it's going to be 180 plus 60, 240, bake. And then it should be 240 minus 180. Now let's just see. Yep, it's looping perfectly, which is nice because that makes sense because we have, if it's going 2 degrees, it's 360 into 2, which is 180. That's the number of frames for a full 360 rotation. But actually, we have 1 degree of symmetry right here, which means we can do half of that, which means it would just be 90. So 60 to 90, so 60 plus 90. That should also be a perfect loop. And it is. Let's try 149. Nice, as that last frame is repeating. So great, now we have a perfect loop of just however many frames this is. This is from 60 to 149, which I guess is just a little over 90. So it's like, actually it's exactly 90 frames. So we have the bilateral symmetry right here. So that means we know it will work perfectly. Cool, cool, cool. So then from here, what we can do is we can do the material. So let's do that. And with the material, what we can do is we can do a couple things. Is we can go in, let's just go the full 0 to 149. So we have that initial growing part of it, which is kind of cool. Nice. And then we can loop afterwards. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so we're going to go here, 1920, Go into ray tracing. Cool. Layout. Now we're in the shader editor, which is nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull in that age value. Age. Store name. Attributes. Age. We have it as a value. Cool. That means we now know it's going from map range. And it's going on floats. It's coming in. It's going from 0 to 60. Now we have a nice stepped gradient. Beautiful. And then this is going to be a color ramp. And let's go light to dark. So we're going to invert this. Going to pop in, pop in. Let's do B-spline to make it have a bit more. There we go. A bit more gradient in there. Nice. And then what we can do, and let's change the colors of these. Let's make it, I don't know. I'm kind of big into green these days. Let's go like green into orange. Have a darker orange. Let's try that. Let's do it really bright. Let's do it really saturated. Green into red. Let's do like almost a blue. Yeah, how does that look? Looks okay. And then we can pull down the roughness, turn on the subsurface, turn on the scale of the subsurface. And let's play with some material, other stuff right here. And we can do a light right here. Light, point, grab, 500, boom. And then we have this coming in. Shading, check this out. Coming in here, let's delete this one, or we can just pull it down, maybe here. Down low, how low can we go? Let's pull that light value down, 200. And let's lower this scale to like 2. Nice, and then, okay, nice. Point light 1000, which is down there. This one's here. And then let's get some, get a sunlight. Let's just play with the angle. And let's add some world texture. Let's do a color. Let's use nodes, world. Let's make the background bright. Make it like pink. So for here, I could do pinks or blues. I want to increase the scale factor actually of it. So let's go back to geometry nodes. We're going to unbake. Let's increase the scale to like 1.1, like 1.3. There we go. Maybe that's better. Even more. Let's say 2. Make it huge. Yeah, it's more fun this way actually. I think it looks better almost. Nice. So now I have the material done. So let me just show you guys what I was working with. So I went into the material editor, and then what I was able to do after a lot of different tweaks is I basically just took a color ramp with the age value. My age was going from 0 to 20, so that I have this kind of nice stepped gradient. I'm putting in a color ramp to kind of have it go from green to red. I'm also multiplying by an ambient occlusion value to get these kind of like sharp lines. I'm putting the ambient occlusion value through a pretty hard power node to get these really sharp differences between the two. Probably could clamp it. I don't know if that's going to really do much. Let's see. Is the clamp doing anything? Let's see. No, it's like the same. Anyways, so then that's going through. I'm also adding a little bit of a bump node to get kind of that kind of glossy, plasticky look. Really low roughness value, and that's kind of good to go. I moved the camera up, and I made sure the camera had a really low f-stop with it being pretty far away. That way I kind of get this little bit of a blur towards the edge. I'm really happy with it. It's going to loop after about 60 frames because that's how long the... what's it called? The rotation is going. Actually, it's 180 frames because it's 90. It's 90 because it's 180 frames and it's a bilateral symmetry. Anyways, that's kind of the main effect. I'm going to render it out and make this and upload it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you learned something. Leave a comment if you have any questions. I always answer them. And let me know what you guys want to see. I always love kind of making new stuff for everyone. Thanks so much. And if you want the project file, it's going to be on my Patreon like always. Thanks so much for watching, guys.
Augury.